Sjogren raise a bigger boot shop. Get yourself a pickle. Get yourself a boot. Sjogren raise a bigger boot shop. Pickle time is happening.
First of all, how hard was it to get Joe to stick with something you decided as a band? Like you're like, hey, we're gonna do this year, and he'd make it like 2 months into it.
Yeah.
It was like that.
Yes, absolutely.
This is what it's like doing a podcast with him.
He gets real excited.
Yes,
He's excitable.
it's like this, and then straight drop off.
There's a business framework actually that I coach, and it talks about visionaries and integrators. And visionaries have, a million great ideas,
Yes.
but they have a million great ideas like every week. And so oftentimes you can find out like what they're really excited about by looking at like the last book that they read or the last podcast they listened to.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
And Joe's definitely got, some of that energy where he gets.
So in the insiders, you'd be like, we're going to do this. We got this. And then like, it would just be like, yes.
Yes.
But
his other really strong attribute is loyalty.
yes, for sure.
So, like he's kind of like a pit bull.
Yeah.
where
No,
he's-
like he's like, just because we're talking shit about him, that's like all the shit I have to talk about Joe and his political views. Like, I definitely disagree with that. What do you have behind you, dude?
definitely he's a pit bull.
Look at that.
Is that a shower?
Yeah, with pickle and boot shop on it.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
It looks
So now
expensive.
Now you don't have to look into my kids' room. Now I have my little podcast nook. Heidi set it up for me. Yeah.
That's so nice.
Fancy.
Yeah.
She loves you.
Sometimes.
We were just talking crap about you, Joe.
I know you were. I came in as soon as you were talking about political views.
Oh, you missed all the good stuff.
Yeah.
I said that you're like a pit bull.
Right. Totally.
That, he said
Totally
you're
loyal.
fiercely loyal.
Totally loyal and often distracted. Like,
Yes.
wait,
1,000%. Yeah. That's exactly it. The older I get, I've kind of learned certain things to like coping skills to focus, but I'm still not there yet. It's only been in the last maybe 6 months that I've started
medication for ADHD.
believe the problem is like 6 months ago I was diagnosed with ADHD, but before that, I was just like, oh, I probably got it. And then now that it's like, oh, I do. It's the coping. It's just trying to figure out, and I don't want to take medication for it. So then you get into all the.
You could try it though. Just get like 5 milligrams of Adderall and just see how you feel.
What happens?
You know what? But you told like it was you that told me like it wasn't good, and then also my buddy Dre says he doesn't like it either. He says the crash from it. He's like it's great. Like he's like the focus is good. Sometimes it's a little too good. And then he said when you're off of it, like when you come down from it, he's like it was brutal. So
my recommendation is just try it. Like get your doctor to give you a script for 5 milligrams of Adderall or whatever, or go get it from a street pharmacist.
yeah,
Or like
yeah.
when you beat up somebody in your roofing job, just take theirs.
Yeah.
Then,
But I don't want to.
but just
So
try it. Just try it.
I'm all right. I think I'm all right. Like I think anytime someone opts, unless it's like major like mental illness, I think anytime someone opts not to take medication, like not to put something in their body, is good. Like because I've learned that this is what I've learned from my therapist is nobody is born with ADHD. Nobody is born with OCD, none of that stuff. That is all a mechanism that your brain, from whatever you went through earlier in your life, it's how your brain processed things. And it gets going where it's like, hey, we process. This is the way we do it. And then if you don't kind of like recognize that that's something that's going on in your life, the wheels can come off. So like OCD is like a way that protects people from whatever issue. Same with ADD. But then when it gets to that point where the wheels come off and then ADD is just running rampant, you have to go back and learn why it did this, why it is doing this, and then you can relearn going down that road to not have those issues.
Being superstitious about medication doesn't solve anything. Like, I get you're like, hey, I don't want to take more medications. But like, if you did take 5 milligrams of Adderall and you were like, oh man, I feel like I can focus on everything. This is amazing. It's not that harmful to you. Unless you have high blood pressure.
Man. I understand. And I probably do, because I'm 6'5", 275.
You don't know what your blood pressure is?
No, last time I went there, remember we had this already.
Just go to the grocery store.
Why are we breaking all these HIPAA laws?
I don't know.
Why are we going down? Why am I feeling like the bad guy? Like, this isn't what we're supposed to be doing. We just spent 5 minutes.
This. I understand. I do believe in neuroplasticity. So the idea that the brain is not fixed. It's not like, oh, it's formed and that's it. That's all you got.
Right.
I do believe. I actually think, if we wanted to go there, I actually think it's what Paul is talking about in the scriptures when he talks about.
All right, let's go, Pastor.
So, like when Paul's talking about transformation, the renewing of the mind.
Mm-hmm.
I actually think that is an insight into the idea around neuroplasticity, that our brain can actually be rewired, and so it's not stuck.
Right.
So I do think that some people need medications in order to function, so that there's a piece of like, can you actually function between now and when your brain has like rewired, or there's new neural pathways and all of that. Between here and there, how do you get there? And I do think that for some people, medication is helpful and supportive of that, of the space that they're in on that journey.
Yeah.
I also understand, not wanting to add more medications to your body. But
for me, it's not, this has been a 6-minute conversation. Like, for me, a lot of it, when my ADD was like getting bad, and I was like I had sought out therapy and stuff like that. It was because Heidi was seeing things in my life, like being very forgetful, being very aloof, whatever. And so without medication, like I cut like 90% of my drinking, 95% of drinking. And it was like when alcohol wasn't in my system, like that fog lifted, there's better focus, phone numbers, dates, addresses. I mean, Nate, if you told me your house address and I was driving your house, I'd have to keep rechecking what's the address of your house 30 times before I got to your house. And then even pulling up in front, I would have to check it again. I don't have to do that anymore. Like I'm remembering addresses, I'm remembering phone numbers, I'm remembering numerical combinations for whatever the case may be. And then the forgetfulness and whatnot, like for that, like my therapist was like, this, kind of a simple fix was like, get a whiteboard, and then we had to go through a thing where if Heidi told me to do something, that she would like me to do, or something, that had to be done around the house, it got written in a notebook. We didn't have the money for a whiteboard, so I got a notebook. And so in the notebook, in the notebook, I would just like write down the stuff that, we had talked about or things like that. And then you have to put a 1 if it was like that needed to be done immediately. And then a 2 if it could be done like in the next few days. And then a 3 if it was like it's something on the horizon, it needs to get done, but when you can get to it. Mm-hmm. So by doing that has fixed like a lot of the issues. I can't speak for her that I'm cured, but
those are like helps for behavior modification.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. So for me, like I don't want because even Reese and even my buddy Dre Reese, you've talked about how there's days where like you'll take it and stuff and you can't find words. You're like in a fog to grab words. So I've gotten away from that fog just by stopping drinking. And so like the goofiness that is my personality, the goofiness that is spontaneous or whatever, like I'm not looking to change that. The negatives of the ADD was the memory and has been the memory stuff, so it was so much so that I was thinking like maybe I had early onset dementia. And the therapist that I went to is a specialist for it and works with Army vets and people who have had closed head injuries, brain traumas. And he ruled that out within 5 minutes. Was just that's cool. Yeah. So I went through like this 100 question questionnaire thing. And like right away, he was like, no. That's not what you have. You have this. Let's work on this. And so here we are today, 10 minutes into a friggin' podcast that's not even what I wanted to talk about.
About Nate.
You have 5 minutes to fill out 100 question questionnaire.
No, I had like 2 weeks. Like it was sent to me like 2 weeks before the first meeting.
Yeah. It took you 2 whole weeks to fill out 100 question questionnaire.
How do we do? Yeah,
I'm just kidding. How do you do?
It was priority 3, and he just kept on going back to it in the notebook. Like,
that was question 100. Question 100 was, how long did it take you to do this test? And I was like, 2 weeks. And he was like, it should have been 12 minutes.
Good enough.
Yeah. So, ladies and gents, you got to tune in prior to us kicking this thing off by hearing my recent medical history. But we have Nate Sjogren, the wonderful Nate Sjogren, one of my best buddies in the whole world. We won't see each other for long periods of time. And then when we do see each other, it's like no time has passed. That is what I believe is what I believe is a true brother. You've bled, you've cried, you've sweat with someone, and you're just ultimately just connected for the rest of your life. So
absolutely.
That is my buddy Nate, who was the drummer and leader, I would say leader of the Insiders. So you did bookings, you did management stuff, you did all of that, and all I did was show up and sing and try and get free shoes out of the deal, which never happened. That was shot down.
No free shoes at all.
No, at one point in the band, I was like, hey, he gets free cymbals, he gets free guitar strings, he gets free bass strings. Guys, can the band buy me a pair of shoes? And it was quickly shot down. And I knew it was.
I think he was trying to build the case on that. I went through drumsticks, and Bo would go through bass strings.
Yeah,
and I think that where the case went wrong was that you were trying to say that you danced so hard.
Yeah, I went through shoes.
I went through shoes by the band, and then we started to rate. We had a scoring system of how well you performed each night and whether or not it was worthy of shoes.
Oh my gosh.
And ultimately, it was deemed it was not. Exactly. And so I did not get any shoes paid for by the Insiders.
They were like saying, we'll pay for your valve oil.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, what? I'm like, can I get a microphone? No, there's one at every show.
Joe,
you can use that same weed smelling microphone.
Yes, from the Skeletons.
That is in every club across America. You can use that one, that COVID soaked weed smelling mic, and you'll like it because we're not paying for a microphone and we're not paying for shoes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, the other connection then, besides just the music, was that Reese and I did a poetry tour together.
yeah. I was going to
Yes.
ask you about it. On a scale of 1 to 10, how much was that the best tour you've ever been on?
It's probably a 9.5.
Yeah. Like, we were on it and we're just like, man, this is so much better than dealing with those assholes.
Well, do you know, for me, why it hits a 9.5 is because I wasn't in charge of it.
Yeah, that
Well,
also.
you and I rode in the back seat.
Yeah. Mike
just
Lewis
farted
did it
around,
all.
I
We
bet.
should ask Mike Lewis how much he liked it. Because
Mike Lewis probably hated it.
he's like,
Mike
it's
Lewis and Aaron Wiederspan would sit in the front. Reese and I would sit in the back and jack around. And
Each other.
where are we going? Like, where are we going? Like, I didn't know anything about that tour. I just knew that Sonny from POD was supposed to be on it, and then he canceled.
backed out. So it was just the four of us.
Mhm.
Yeah, because he was busy doing other things, guys.
He was in the South Town because he knew that kids don't play. When we were in like the middle of Omaha, I want to say, or maybe Iowa, we did a poetry stop.
Yeah.
And that night we stayed at like a Best Western. And they had a karaoke bar on the grounds of the Best Western. Do you remember this, Reese?
Vaguely, yes.
So we decided to go down and do karaoke, the four of us. And Joe, this won't surprise you. Aaron gets up and does probably the
Wraps
best.
a cord around his neck.
Yeah, I mean, he does the best rendition of Long December like that I've ever heard.
He was such a good singer.
Yeah, he's like squatted at the front of the stage. He has a lit cigarette and like Jack Daniels or something, and he sings. I mean, like I'm like crying. It was like the most beautiful, Counting Crows I've ever heard. Then Reese gets up, and if I remember
Farts in the
correctly,
microphone.
Reese
for 5
says
minutes.
18 in life. Does that
Oh,
sound
no.
right to you?
Sure. That was one of my hits.
Yep. Little Skid Row action.
Uh-huh.
And so then I make this little joke of like to Aaron. Well, Reese is up there. I make a joke to Aaron. Hey, I'm gonna sing a love song, and I'm gonna dedicate it to Reese that he's my partner.
Yeah.
And so this was back when everybody like made fun of gay people, and so
And we were no exclusion to that rule.
Yep.
More making fun of your friend's masculinity.
go up
Right.
on stage, and I say, this song goes out to the love of my life, Reese, and you're sitting at the table, and I sing Chicago, if you leave me now, you'll take away the biggest part of me. And if you know anything about that song, it's almost all falsetto. And apparently it's like one of the longest songs like
Ever written.
So I'm up there and I'm like, if you leave me now, you take away the biggest part of me. And I think it's so funny because I'm pointing at Reese and like everyone's laughing, blah, blah, blah. While I'm on stage, they all get up, the three of them, and leave. And they left me on stage in the middle of like corn country. And I had just outed myself that I was gay and singing this partner. And I'm on stage singing falsetto Chicago. And they leave. And it had to be one of the best burn moments. Like it's just stuck in my head as like I was trying to pull the fast one, and then they flipped it on me. And that was a pretty awesome night.
I may have forgotten that. I do remember karaoke. I remember being in like we went to a pool and a hot tub and I had my Speedo on for sure.
Yeah,
That was always a
I think
favorite.
that was like a regular occurrence.
Regular occurrence. Maybe these guys will think this is funny. Because the 5-iron guys are like, please stop wearing that.
Oh man, that makes me think about some poor decisions, that were made along the way. Especially when we were out with you guys, there was some poor decisions that were made.
Do you remember
wait.
being on
Let
tour
me get
with
in
us?
here. Let me get in here. What,
sir?
Why, how did this poetry thing happen? I'm sure people tuned in today because they're like, oh, Nate's going to fill in some stories other than the 6 stories that Joe always tells over and over. The only 6 insider stories that he can remember.
No, Joe,
Nate's going to give us some more. But we've gone in a different direction to the poetry thing. And how did that whole thing start? Like, I remember being on tour, and then Nate, you talk about like, well, during this break or during this, we're going to do this poetry tour. And I just always remember thinking like, you're going to what? Like, what is going on? How did that start? How many places did you go?
Did Mike come up with the idea?
I honestly think that it was, do you remember Big Steve?
Oh, yeah.
Big
Steve Van Callenberg.
Yep, Big Steve put that together.
Yeah, from Oklahoma.
Yep.
You are right. You are correct.
And he was like, hey, you guys are some of the most brilliant minds in Christian music. And then Sonny dropped off, which, so then he was like, oh, hey, you guys, you're the leftovers of the greatest minds. No, it was Big Steve. And I think that he was like, we can do this. We can pull together. Cause I think you were working on like a little like poetry booklet, right, Reese? Like
I think I was, or maybe I did it because of the tour.
Yeah. And Aaron, obviously was just known as a poet.
Right.
And
he was a true artist, not like us.
Yeah. Mike Lewis from Polar had put out a poetry book, or maybe a couple.
Yeah.
And so he was the only one that was like legit as far as like, he was like a poetry guy.
Also as an artist, like he had made his fortune as an artist.
When you think about it, he probably hated being in that SUV with us because he was older than us, and he was probably like, this was a horrible decision.
Man, we gotta have him on this podcast.
And Mark, there was also talk about Mark Solomon being on that tour as well.
Yeah.
And so like, I get like, honestly, this is what I'm going to say, Joe. I get that everyone who was ever talked about being on that tour was on that tour. The real question is, why was I on that tour? Because I've never considered myself a lyricist or a poet or like anything like that. I'm not sure. I don't know if it was like the idea that I talked in front of people, maybe because I did like a lot of like public speaking at Insiders. But when I even think back about it, I am kind of like, why was I on that? It doesn't even make sense. Like Reese is, like Aaron, Reese, like I would say that they're known for their actual like lyrics and like the essence of their communication. I didn't write anything. I literally read from Ecclesiastes on the tour. Do you remember that, Reese?
Yes.
I would do like I don't know, basically like a talk through Ecclesiastes, and tons of kids got saved. So it was worth it.
Dude, nobody seemed, and I've never heard of anybody that was like bummed about it. Nobody was disappointed. What? It was like $5.
Yeah.
But we had like no overhead. It was just like free places, like Christian coffee houses or a church, like a cool looking church basement. No overhead because we had our own PA that Mike had in the trailer.
Yeah.
And then like we had to pay for a hotel. It was so easy. The setup was like 10 minutes. No opening band to sit through.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, I don't want to pop your guys' bubble, but it's just someone standing up there talking. You didn't even need to bring a PA. I could lower
Most of
your
the
overhead
shows,
cost right now.
You are right. Most of those shows, Mike played songs. He had like his acoustic guitar, so he did play through that. But again, probably didn't need a PA.
Hey guys, let's go into really small rooms, and everyone will be quiet and respect the speaker.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
let's crank it up to 13.
I mean, I think the lighting rig, that probably was unnecessary. But
did we have a lighting rig?
Oh, I was just kidding.
Oh, okay. I was like,
It was like
the rotating drum kit
yeah,
that you guys just set up every night just in case.
yeah. That was definitely the brainchild of Big Steve out of Oklahoma, and anybody that ever played his venue. That dude, Big Jesus. Remember, he had all the Big Jesus merch.
Yeah.
He was a good guy.
Yeah, he was
super good.
He was the DJ at my first wedding.
Are you serious?
no way.
Yeah, you don't remember Nate?
No.
Big Steve was my
So
I know.
So long.
It's so stupid to go, don't you remember? Because I don't remember jack crap. I hope tonight that you're going to tell some stories that I just have no clue. Because,
We got to get him on the podcast, Joe.
Yeah, we have to find him.
Yeah, we will. We'll have to search him out.
It was
Steve Ninth Melbourne.
I'm trying to remember what his production company was called. Was it Big Jesus Productions?
Well, I do know that like towards the end of like us doing shows with him, he was getting big into real estate.
Oh, I can see that.
He was like starting to get away from the club scene and bringing in shows, and he was going towards real estate. I remember he had told me he read a book, and he had told me at the time, he goes, I don't want this to sound horrible, but understand what I'm saying. This is like my new Bible. And it was like a book on real estate. And he had And so he had started like buying houses in Oklahoma and flipping them. And so this is during the noughties, the 90s.
Yeah.
And so he was talking about like buying a home in like Oklahoma for like 11 grand, putting work into it, and then obviously flipping it for more. And he was able to do this. And like right toward the end of like our constant relationship where he was putting on shows and we'd see him a couple times a year, he had purchased, like, even at that time, I think if I remember right, he had purchased like 2 or 3 homes and was flipping them. And then it was kind of like all of us went to like that next level where we were no longer doing like his local level shows. We were kind of doing that next tier. And so
E-level,
like
C level, from D to C,
H level.
Mm-hmm.
So
we went from H to F.
Yeah. The highest we got was that F level. And not even, I think we got to F level. I think you guys got to D. I think you guys got to
I don't think
D
so.
level.
They might have gotten to a C
solid C minus.
Yeah.
Now, Nate Sjogren, we are normally what we do is for the first half, we do about a half hour, 45 minutes to throw out there to everybody to listen to. And then we do like another 45 minutes to an hour on our paid portion. We're getting towards the 30 minutes, but a lot of it was my HIPAA stuff. And so
that's what people pay for.
So the people
don't pay for.
I would say people want to know that, but
what I want you to do is I want you to hopefully leading up to today, you maybe thought of a couple of stories or something like that, but do you have like, what are your fondest, funnest memories? I want to walk down, I want to go through some of these with you because like I said, there's so much stuff. We've said it before when we've met up and done stuff is that, just like an accident. If 30 people see an accident, you have 30 different stories of what happened. And so you and what you've always seen and experienced and stuff like that. And a lot of times I wasn't where you were. Like me and Bram were off doing our thing.
Yeah.
You and Bo and Sang kind of did your guys' thing. Obviously we were all friends and came together, but you were always kind of doing more like businessy stuff. And so like Bram and I would dip out and go get Dr. Pepper Slurpees or whatever. But what are like the stories that like you really like, ones that you've thought of multiple times over the years.
I mean, one of the main things that I think about is the mentorship. So there were some pretty key figures that shaped like the insider's story. And so like locally, one of those was Tony Weatherly.
Yeah.
And, you know, Tony, like what Tony did was he loved kids like they were family. And like he exhibited that whole idea of making a safe space for people to be able to get together, to be able to hear music. But more than that, they were really functioning like as family. And I think that Tony really mentored us in the way of how do you extend that experience out. And I think for me, one of probably the hardest decisions we ever had to make was when, like, because Tony was Detroit, like if you wanted to play Detroit, like Tony was involved in that.
Yeah.
And he had built the scene up so much.
Yeah.
And then at some point we went from being Detroit artists to being a national act. And that transition, that was probably one of the hardest things to do.
To have that conversation with Tony? Yeah.
And because what it meant was like we needed to have national management representation. We needed to have national booking. And like Tony was doing all of that in-house. And like, if you knew him, just like his heart, like he was just like this sensitive, loving man. And I remember us having to make the decision to like go to that next like national level. And it's one of the decisions for me that I was like, oh, I wimped out on that. Like I was in all of the back conversations. Like at that point we were talking with Tim Tabor. We were talking with Gene Eugene. Like there was all of this stuff moving. But like when it came down to it, like somebody had to sit and tell Tony. And do you remember what we did, Joe?
I remember I wasn't there.
Well, I know you weren't there.
I know.
Oh, no.
And so here's the thing. Like, I remember I wasn't there and you guys were like, yeah, we got to go meet with him and talk to him. And I just remember thinking like as a 47-year-old man looking back,
Yeah.
like, I wish I was there. Like,
Yeah.
I wish there wasn't like a cop out, you know, like I don't want to be a part of it. But there was. And so I can't go back and change that. But I remember you guys went, and I just remember like Bram and I were like, I don't know if I want to throw Bram under the bus, but I just remember
did.
like I did. Like we didn't go. And I was just kind of like, like, well, I guess we'll just wait for the phone call to see how that went.
Everybody but you and Bram.
You know, I didn't do it. I didn't have the conversation.
Who did? Kyle?
Mike Rowland.
Oh my gosh.
We sent Mike Rowland had the conversation with Tony.
Really? I
just-
didn't know
Yes.
this.
And
You're
so,
like Mike is
or
a
if I
soft,
did know it, I
such
didn't-
a softy.
such a softy and
Like,
such
oh
a
man.
caring guy. And
Yeah.
I remember Mike coming back to me just weeping.
God bless it.
And it was like, oh, this was the worst thing I've ever been. Like, it was just like, this was the worst decision. Although I was like, no, the decision had to be made. But I didn't communicate it. Mike did. And like, just legit coming back in the last, 5 years, like Tony passed away.
Yeah.
And it was one of those things where like, it came up to me in my mind, in my heart of like, did you ever communicate to him like how much you meant to you? And so like, I like went through and I had like these previous communications and I was like reading them through and I was like, oh yeah. I know that I did. But there was the one thing that was there that was like, but you didn't hold the conversation with them. Like I did not hold the conversation with them. And that's just one of those things that I was like, wow, like for, even for you, Joe, to be like, he was the leader. Well, I was also 19.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what I was doing.
Right.
And like, there's so many things that I would be like, oh my gosh. Nobody was telling me like, hey, there's a better way to do this, until years later, where Tim really played that role of like really trying to shape me. And then Dave Palmer, do you remember Dave Palmer?
Yeah, absolutely.
Dave Palmer was another mentor that I just learned so much from. And tonight I'm wearing my hearing aids, which I got last Monday.
Jeepers.
And I finally came to the place where I was like, oh, I can't hear most of what's going on. And Dave Palmer posted like a Facebook post that he had finally got hearing aids. And he was like, listen, do this for your family.
Wow.
And he was like, everyone who has been like considering getting hearing aids, like because like music is different now. Live music is totally different. They're all up there with, in-ear monitors.
Yeah.
We were doing side fills. I wanted to feel the kick drum like pounding in my chest. Like all of that was just, and then all of our, practice spaces were so small. And so all those cymbals, like all of that high-end frequency for me is gone. So I have hearing aids. Now.
Did you wear any hearing protection at all?
No.
Okay. Andy is the same place.
Raw. I wanted it raw, and I didn't want anything to,
it was so loud, dude.
Yeah. Poor choices. Really poor.
Andy also wears hearing aids, by the way.
Yeah.
He'll talk about it.
So Dave Palmer posted, hey, I finally took the step. I read that. I messaged him. I was like, hey, Dave, it's Nate. I don't know if you remember me. He's like, shut up, but I was like, your post inspired me to actually go to an audiologist and to start to address this, because like for my work, which I don't do roofing, but I do pastoring, I was finding myself like isolating from people. And so like if there was a group setting, especially if it was like some people were in person and some were on Zoom or something, that was like the worst setting for me ever. Like I couldn't hear, I couldn't differentiate. And so the first day that I had my hearing aids, I sat down and my wife starts talking to me and I go, ooh, you don't need to talk so loud. Wow. And she like leans in and she goes, I have had to talk this loud for the last 10 years. And I was like, oh, my bad. Like, and then I said to her, am I always this loud in the morning in the kitchen? And she's like, yes. Like I was like, I've just been like banging doors and like hitting pans and stuff. And I ain't gonna hear it because it's all like in this like high end frequency. Yeah. But no, I remember Gene Eugene, man. Like Gene Eugene, we'd be mixing the albums, and then he would get to a spot where he would notice that we were frustrated. And he would be like, hey, Nate, let's go for a drive. Hey, Nate, let's go for a drive. And like, we would get into this like old like VW bus that only had the front two seats. But like anybody who was in the session was jumping in, and he'd be like, let's go to In-N-Out. And like, I remember just like sitting on this like ratty VW bus, like on the bed liner, because there were no seats in the back, and being like, dude, like I'm in Huntington Beach. Like I'm recording a punk ska album in Huntington Beach. Like it was so surreal. Like it was like, is this actually happen? And then like I didn't know who Gene Eugene was. I didn't listen to that music. So like I didn't know the role that he had played like historically with Adam Again and Lost Dogs, and like all, like I wasn't a part. It's like first time I met Steve Taylor. I didn't know who Steve Taylor was. Yeah. I thought he looked like Mick Jagger. But like getting to like ride to In and Out with Gene, and then him teaching us like what the animal style burgers were, and like he would order a burger like animal style, and we would be like, who is this guy? Like he was like the coolest guy ever. And then like to see, his humanity as well. That's just super impactful. Like Gene was the type of guy like Tony who was just making a space
pajamas
for people,
on right now,
like to come in and to be welcomed. Like, remember everybody popping in at the green room?
Put your pajamas on and brush your teeth right now.
Like, you never knew he was going to be there.
No.
Like I remember at the green room, like walking out into the lounge, and like Frank Lenz was there, and like there was this guy sitting with him, and I'm like, who's this dude? And it was Mike Knott, who turned out to be like somebody that I was really like. Later in life, I listened to him, and I was like, dude, like Mike Knott was always hanging out, and it was just like, I don't know, it was so such an interesting experience. And I think I had a lot of those experiences because I would be there for like the whole album.
Correct,
I was there from the beginning, laying down drum tracks, and then I was arranging. And so like I was never there for Kyle's guitar parts. But that was
never he kicked you out, or what?
He didn't want nobody could be there when Kyle was recording.
Okay.
So like we would, do something else. We would go somewhere for a couple of days or whatever. But then I would come back and I would track horns and vocals, and like, so I got to be there for so much of it that I feel like I was able to have some different experiences than other people who were just there for like, 4 days laying down their track or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, that was me. So like that was always my thing was, you talk about the mentorship part that you miss, or the older that you get, that's what you kind of focus on. It's like, I look back and the regret parts of the Insiders, and just like you said, meeting people who I had no clue who these people were. I grew up a jock. I played soccer. I played hockey, I played football, and then all of a sudden, senior year of high school, senior year, I started hanging out with you, listening to different styles of music. We graduate high school, we start the Insiders. Like, I didn't know there was a Christian scene. I didn't know who these people were. So as we went forward, just like you, like, I didn't know who Gene Eugene was. I didn't know who Steve Taylor was. I didn't know who Mike Knott was. I didn't know, and I didn't take the time. So like, I can't look back and be like, I didn't know really who Gene Eugene was. But to me, he was a producer and he was there to do a job. And I would go in and I would record my vocals after everybody else was done. I would go in and I would record, and I'd have a good time with Gene while I did that. And then I would leave.
Yeah.
And I just knew that like, I always took the mindset back then of other people really care, and I don't feel like fighting people on it. So I'm okay to step back and let people do what people. So in my mind, and this may have been wrong, but in my mind, I was like, Nate really cares about every little separate piece of this album, everything that's going on, all the business issues, all the recording issues, all that. I didn't want to be another cook in the kitchen. So for me, I was okay with stepping back and letting other people handle that. But again, being where I am now, looking back, I missed out. I look at it as missing out on things. But like, I have great memories of like hanging out at Huntington Beach, and hanging out at the pier and doing this and going there and, doing those types of things. But as far as like the nuts and bolts behind the music, that was always put on you,
Yeah, I think there's so many, things that we would do differently. And I remember Tim always saying to us, like, hey, you get to do this right now. And like, that was like, his wave had just crested. Like, and I didn't even realize that. Like Prayer Chain was like huge. And then because of the grunge thing, right? And then everything started shifting, pop punk.
And they were signed to a major label.
Yeah.
Like there was like 4 Christian artists on a major label, and they were one. Striper, Amy Grant, Michael W. Smith. They were on the same major label as Michael W. Smith.
So like we didn't have context for that.
Yeah.
But like when I'm thinking of like his mentoring was always like, yeah, but you get to do this right now. Just enjoy it right now.
Yeah.
Just enjoy it right. Do you remember him? Like he would get after us of like, yeah, but you're touring right now. And it's just so interesting when I think back about it of like, he was fresh off of like riding the wave. Yeah. And then he was trying to say to us, like, don't miss, like you guys
for sure
on the wave. And obviously, like, you know, we were kids as well.
It was like your future self visiting you.
Yeah. So like, I don't hold myself in judgment for the previous versions of myself, but
that's healthy, Nate.
Well, it's difficult. But I do think that if I had another go, that there would be, you know, so much opportunity to do things differently. And like some of that's relational, but some of that is also like putting in the work to like be better, to sound better, to like put on a better show, like all that kind of stuff where I'm like, I think that Five Iron always like presented as like, they're so punk. And I would be like, in my mind, it was like, no, they attract punk kids. They're actually extremely organized. Like they know what they're doing. They know what their brand is. Like,
no,
that was my perception.
We just had 3 people doing the same job you were doing. That's all. Like I handled the merchandise. Dennis handled the money. Keith handled herding all the cats. Like you did that all for your band. So it was probably a little bit more dispersed, but.
Well, I just think about like, music has changed so much. I think sometimes it can be difficult to recognize, like we did that with what we had. Yeah. Like we did it with what we had. Like we were making those albums like literally fresh out of high school. Like, and look at what we did. Like that's, I don't know. Like I remember when we announced that we were playing Furnace Fest, which was like, you know, an amazing opportunity for us to be together and to go down, share that moment with, you know, a bunch of people. But I remember somebody like commenting, you know, when that announcement came out. And it was just this moment where I was like, oh, like we've evolved as people and we're allowed to.
Yeah.
But that's not who they know us as. Like there's a version of us that is from 1996 to, you know what I mean? Like it's this gap of years, and that's who they're expecting to see, or that's who they're expecting to interact with. Yeah. And I found myself almost like code switching, where it was like these people want to have like a great interaction with the 1996 version of Nate.
So you switched to be that 1996 version to talk to him?
Yeah, I found that I was fighting that temptation the whole time.
Yeah.
And then it was like, well, no, I actually want to go to the main stage and watch Better Lovers and grab beer from behind the, from behind the stage. Like, that's what I want to do. But yeah, I'm also going to go see Living Sacrifice and, be side stage, and hopefully people will see me supporting that as well. But like, there's that whole thing of feeling that like temptation to like not be true to who you are fully right now. And I think that I do that. I mean, I think I do that to people as well, where I'm like, I just kind of, will pick up with them wherever that is in our history. And you kind of expect people to be that version that you knew. Yeah. And I even think about that just like musically, where it's like, I don't know that I would write any of the albums that we ever wrote now, like, I don't know that I would be like, here's an idea. Let's take modern worship songs and, and skank them up. Mind you, I don't know that I could tell you any modern worship songs, but at the same time, man, I'm so proud of what we did.
Yeah.
And I remember on that forum being like, hey, like, because I don't like interact much online, but this person, I felt like they were so limited in like, and it also felt a bit like they were mocking about that, were we going to play praise songs at Furnace Fest? And I was just kind of like, dude, that was a great moment, like, for us.
For
sure. It was a great moment in time. And all of us have evolved, and we're all allowed to. But it doesn't mean that we can't celebrate moments.
Correct.
Like, and so, like, integrating it into the whole, I guess, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. No, I mean, this podcast for Reese and I has been 4 or 5 years, however long we've been doing this, of
100 years
of therapy, and there's seasons where I'm really, really, really proud of what we did as the insiders. And then there's seasons that I dwell more on the negative and how we could have done it better, or I wish I wouldn't have done it that way. But it is coming to that realization that, like, that 19, 20, 21-year-old Joe, just like you said, we used what we had in front of us. Like, I was who I was back then. I've grown since.
Right.
I do things different. But back then, like, you can't blame the Model T for not being a Corvette.
Right.
Like, it was what it was at the time. And there's days, like I said, there's days I'm very proud of what we've done. Not proud in the egotistical way. Just like, yeah, man, that was awesome that we did that, and hopefully touch some hearts. Like, hopefully when I stand before God, He's going to say, turn around, and there's going to be a few faces that are giving me like a thumbs up. Like that.
Yeah. There's like Lisa and I from the poetry tour. Like, there's going to be just like
two, maybe 3 faces,
just masses. And but so like that's my thing. I would definitely do things different. What's funny is what you're saying about Furnace Fest. Like, I went to Furnace Fest, and the way that my brain switched into not being the Joe Yerke of that, like, I think everybody knows from the insiders and from the time that we were.
Yeah.
My brain went to making up for what I thought I did wrong.
Oh.
And so at Furnace Fest, I spent
engaged differently.
Yeah, like talking to fans, talking to people. Like, I don't even want to call them fans anymore. Just talking to friends, people who bought our album, showed up to our show. Like, I sat there talking to people ad nauseum. Like, they were probably like, all right, dude, like I just say hi. And now you're telling me about your
plan. I gotta go.
Yeah, you're telling me about your medical history. And so
the first time I experienced hemorrhoids,
yeah, So like that's what I did. Like I wanted to right all those wrongs with fans.
Yeah.
And so I found myself at Furnace Fest, as our listeners have heard, and as Reese has heard me say a gajillion times, when it came to the interactions of the band of other bands, I wasn't in that mind frame. Like I wasn't in the mind frame to see like Goaty Hook. I wasn't in the mind frame to see MXPX, where maybe I would have been like a little bit more in the past, like, hey, hey, what's up, man? Good to see you, blah, blah, blah. To them, like I took like a back seat, like they don't want to talk to me.
Yeah.
Like, they don't want to talk to me. They don't want anything to do with me. So I'm just going to go back to the people. And so I just spent all of Furnace Fest, chilling with people. I loved sitting at the merch booth, like just talking. Like that's where I realized really quick that the backstage band area wasn't for me. It was for grabbing beers and free
beers back
waters.
there?
Like it was for that. But other than that, like, it wasn't going on and like hanging out with your old pals and stuff. That didn't happen,
Yeah.
And even with new bands, I didn't have the oomph within me to like go up to like the Callous Dowboys and be like, hey man, what's up? I'm so and so. They'd be like, who's this old guy? Like,
Our merch table was next to us.
yeah, and I did chit chat with some of them, but it's not like, what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like you look back and there's ups and downs and stuff. And then there's some days where it's just like, who cares?
I would say there's upbeats and beatdowns, really.
Yeah, totally.
Oh my gosh.
Like
On
every
that
now and then I
note-
think about I was in that bar leaning up against the bar when she was perpetrating.
Guys, I got two things going on. I got to make sure my kids have gone to bed, and I have to pee so bad.
Yeah, let's bring this to an end.
Okay.
We'll take a pee break, and then
Pee break.
we'll jump back on for the paid. Nate, can you keep
Perfect.
going? Can you do like another hour? Okay.
All right.
Yeah, we're
I'm
just
going
going.
to pause it. We'll
So
be right
he's gonna
back
stop this.
for the
Yep.
paid portion, you slackers. Love you guys. All right. We're going again.
So Joe, you were asking about some back office interactions, and I don't know if you remembered this one, but the Insiders was in like a big lawsuit.
Oh yeah.
And it's how Scalleluia got made. So like Gene Eugene, this mentor that I was talking about, at some point when we were recording Motor City Ska, which was our first full length, I had talked to Gene about, hey, we wanted, like in our live set, we do like all these worship tunes, and like the kids seem to love it. And he was like, oh, that's awesome. So we ended up like tracking Lori Lift Your Name on High. And he was like, this is awesome. This is it. And so apparently, as the story goes, Gene Eugene wrote down this concept on a napkin.
Okay.
And we were locked into a record contract with a defunct music group, which
A KMG.
happens. No. So that's a whole nother story.
Oh,
That's another
Lord.
podcast.
This was a Frontline Music Group.
Uh-huh.
They had created a subsidiary called Gumshoe Records.
Okay.
And essentially, like they were going out of business.
Gumshoe was Frontline?
Yeah.
Was it originally, or
No.
they bought them out?
No, it was a part of Frontline Music Group.
Holy cat. So Frontline was like one of Eddie DeGarmo and Dana Key. It was
Yep.
was it Dana Key?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
it was like the great grandson of Francis Scott Key, who wrote the Star Spangled Banner.
Really?
Yes.
I never knew that. That totally makes
Yes.
So
Makes sense.
stuff-
That's where he got all his money.
Yeah, we were
The Star Spangled Banner royalties.
Yeah, I bet those checks are giant.
So we were
I bet
stuck
he's
in contract
killing it.
with like a defunct record label. And if you remember, there was another band that was stuck in the same situation. They were called Sixpence None the Richer.
Uh-huh.
And so Gene was like, well, no, I had the rights to the Sky Hallelujah album. So Gene, like they came up with a way to fund us recording the Sky Hallelujah album at the Green Room. And it was totally off the books. Because we were actively trying to get out of our contract so that we could get to an actual label that was functional.
Why wouldn't Frontline just move you to something else? That's so crazy.
No idea. So we ended up.
And they had DC Talk.
Yeah, they were huge. But we ended up doing Sky Hallelujah like off the books, and all the while, like in the back channel, Steve Taylor was talking to us because he was like, hey, I'm actually working on the Sixpence deal. I'm trying to get them out of their contract.
Yeah.
And so he ends up launching Squint Entertainment and somehow gets the deal with Gene Eugene to put out Sky Hallelujah. Like, if that wouldn't have happened, we wouldn't have had an album come out for probably 4 years. Anyway, we'd been dead. We'd been dead.
Yeah, we would have been dead. Yeah.
Yeah, the wave.
Or change your name. You'd have to start spelling it with an S instead of a Z.
Like spelling it, the correct way. But it wouldn't have been as cool. And I remember being in Nashville, and we had to go to the lawyer's office that had basically got us out of that deal.
Yes, I remember that.
And do you remember, like, we're all in this small office, and they basically are like blocking the doorway.
Yeah.
And they're like, so you owe us X amount of dollars. And we're like, okay. And I remember Johnny is like looking at me. Johnny was our road manager. And I remember being like, what are we supposed to do? And they're like, well, you need to write us a check right now.
For what?
Yeah. And I remember everybody was like it was the most tense scenario I've ever been in. And I remember like being there, being like, I did not get into music for this.
There is no record contract as bad as all of the record contracts have ever been, where you like still owe the record company.
Well, this was
They would just not give you money.
yeah. This is us
They
owing.
give you drugs instead.
This is us owing the lawyers so that
Oh my
we
God.
could actually have Sky Hallelujah put out.
Oh my gosh.
And then what's so crazy is that FMG reformed another subsidiary whilst we were doing Sky Hallelujah, like touring on that and all that. And then they approached us and wanted to sign us. And at that point we had a couple of different offers.
This is madness.
Oh, it was insane.
Did you know it was them, or were you like, hey, a new record label? Wait a second.
It was different people.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's me.
They had different people. And then, do you remember this, Joe? They courted us and they had us come to the, there was this place that it looked like it was like a abandoned warehouse in the stockyards of Nashville. But it was like this high-end like steak joint.
Oh no.
Yeah, the Stockyard.
The Stockyard. Do you remember that?
That was owned by
Buddy Killian,
Buddy Killen,
which is Killen Music Group.
Yeah.
Which
Oh
is
my
KMG.
gosh.
Yeah.
And KMG was just another iteration. But they wowed us and they gave us, this is what we're going to give you as a signing bonus. And this is what we're going to give you for tour support, all this kind of stuff. And I remember that being the crossroads of like Brandon Ebel was talking to us as well.
Yeah.
And so there was like a tooth and nail conversation. There was a KMG conversation. And if we're being honest, there was like the hope that Frank Tate would have ever like cared about us. But he didn't. And so
he just threw us a
He
cinder
did.
block while we were drowning.
He cared about you. The problem with Frank is that, like, unless you were doing really well, most people got kind of bitter about how Frank is very frugal still to this day. Like, he will not, like, he's a businessman. He's just like, I'm not going to do this unless it pays for itself.
Yeah.
So, like, nobody's getting any free rides. You had to be making money, or you were just like, all the bands that didn't kind of are like, why did we have to set up our own PA system and all this, and we didn't make any money? And Frank's just like, well, you didn't make money. Like, you set up your own PA because it saved you money.
Nate,
Well,
I
remember us signing that with KMG, and I remember everybody being excited because there was like a cash infusion right around that time. Like, we had the semi truck and we redid it and all that kind of stuff.
yeah.
Which you got from the Supertones.
I think we got it from Audio A.
Oh,
Yeah.
No, we got it from the Supertones.
Did we get it from?
did they get it from Audio A?
Yeah, they got it from Audio
And
A,
then it
then
went
we
to
got it
you?
from them.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then it went to Fillmore?
Was it
Yeah.
Fillmore? Yeah.
Yeah.
Who has it now?
Oh, wouldn't that be awesome to
Nowadays.
track that down?
Oh.
Now, Nate, I do remember this. So
what I was say was we were all excited about the cash infusion.
Uh-huh.
I was extremely sad that we signed with KMG.
Did you know what was up at that point? Like, you were like, oh, it's these guys.
I think for me it was like we made the decision around business.
Yeah, because that's what I remember. I remember sitting in that office at the lawyers, and we're like, what in the world are we going to do?
Yep.
And we walk out of there, you know, late teens, early 20, maybe we were 20 by then, maybe.
Yeah.
We're like, what are we going to do? And then KMG came along, and it was like, if you guys sign with us, we'll make this lawsuit go away. Like, we'll pay the lawsuit, we'll pay the lawyers off. You know, you guys will get a 3-album deal, you know, whatever, a 1+2, whatever it was, whatever they were back then, a 2+1.
And
But
they
we'll
were
make-
going to allow Squint to put out
Yes. And then Squint would be able to put out Scallia. So it was kind of like one of those things where, again, looking back, in a perfect world, you would want to do something different. Like, you would
Right.
have, you know, it would have been nice to pursue Tooth and Nail. And what's funny is
probably
when the Tooth and Nail documentary came out, I had text Brandon Abel and was just like, man, I love the documentary and this and that. And I was like, I always wanted us to, you know, to be on the label. He's like, I wanted you, whether he was blowing smoke up my skirt or whatever. He was like, we wanted you so bad. I would have loved to do stuff with the Insiders. Like, I was bummed that we weren't able to.
yeah.
And so, like, when I look back now, it's like the circumstances were what they were.
Yeah.
And so, as you know, 19 to 26-year-old guys, our career would have been done.
Yeah, absolutely.
It was over. But because of KMG, we were able to put out Scalleluja, which got us major traction. We were able to get rid of this lawsuit. We were able to put out albums. You know, so,
Yep.
you know,
Had you only just been able to go to Squint, how much further would that have gotten you guys? do you
Oh, it would
think?
have been the next level. I mean,
Yeah.
Steve Taylor was the guy that was like,
He's the guy.
I mean, he was showing up at our shows and he was like, you know, teaching Joe opera vocal runs and stuff.
those are those things that you look back on and you're like, I was an idiot. Like, Steve Taylor was trying to give me vocal lessons and I was like, nah, that's not how I sing, dude. And then he's like, hey, when you write a song, he goes, I want to write this song. So the song that was Paradise, he's like, let me hear Paradise. So I gave him the lyrics, you know, kind of did whatever. And he's like, you can do better.
Yeah.
He's like, paint an even crazier picture of paradise. So I went back and I kind of changed some stuff and I presented again. He's like, no. You can do better.
Yeah.
Paint me a crazy, crazy picture of what paradise is. And I'm like, no, like, these are my lyrics. I'm an artist and this is what I'm saying. And then like, now I'm like, here's a dude who was pushing me, but I took it as being like bossy, but he was and I was just like, I didn't know who these people were. I didn't respect where they had come from.
Yeah.
You know, and 47-year-old me is like, you're an idiot, you know, but yeah, back then that's how it rolled.
Yeah. I mean, those are some of like the, you know, back office things that I do think about where I'm like,
Yeah.
that was, you know, there were certain drivers for decisions that you're like, oh man,
We just lost power.
we put out our first 7-inch, you know, with Beat Hotel Records. Like, you know, like at some point it's like there was this allure of being like a signed act that had tour support and blah, blah, blah. But if you're not working with people who have like the shared vision, then it can get pretty bad. Like it can get pretty toxic. Like I remember Kyle and so like KMG, their A&R rep was there when we were recording Fight of My Life, and he was around when we were recording Skylalia 2. No, Fight of My Life. But his name was Billy Smiley.
Yeah.
And he was in like Whiteheart.
Whiteheart.
Yeah.
Nah,
Well, we didn't know who Whiteheart was.
cheapers.
Like none of us listened to that. So like he would have all these ideas. Nobody would listen. Like nobody was listening to what he was saying. And I remember once he was like, and this was like all about the show. And he was like, Nate, he's like, we got to get you on a riser and we got to get you like to the front of the stage.
Yep.
And he's like, and I think everyone else should be in black and you should be dressed in all white.
So that's probably bad advice. Like some of like Steve Taylor, if you knew, like looking back, you'd be like, Steve Taylor, that dude like was like a pariah.
Yeah.
In Christian music, like just, and still is, like just, he knows what's up. Like he gets Jesus, but he also is like really, really brilliant. You know, like he's directed 2 feature-length movies. He's, we might have lost Joe.
It says he's loading.
Okay.
I got a
He's
green
getting-
light.
He's getting loaded.
He's loading.
But like, you know, in hindsight, we knew Steve Taylor because he's from Denver. He grew up in Lakewood.
Oh.
So we knew him, and we knew the guy that used to be his manager was this crazy old hippie guy that would book, he booked like all the big shows in Denver, but he's just this rad guy. But like, I was a fan of Steve Taylor before 5-hour, and so I would have done anything that guy said. You guys didn't get that. But like, I always think about this, like, you're very good, Nate, at giving yourself forgiveness for being a kid and making those decisions. But if you had a time machine, like how much would you just be like this would make a good science fiction novel, is like a guy who thinks his dad is giving him his advice, or like his dad is like leading him the whole way, but it's really him from the future just showing up and being like, hey man, don't do that. Now, you know, don't show those girls your penis in 2nd grade. It's a bad idea. You're going to think about this today. They're going to say, are you a boy or a girl? Pull down your pants and prove it. Don't do that.
Are you speaking from personal experience?
Personal experience. Don't do that. Like, don't take that record deal. You'll be fine.
Joe said he lost power.
Oh, he did. Okay, then it's just you and me.
That's all right. We'll get into it.
Perfect. So this is awesome. I want to hear. I want to hear your opinion, like as gentle as you want to be about Kyle, because we talk about Kyle a lot.
Yeah, I mean, Kyle, just even when we're talking about like forgiving ourselves,
Yeah.
mixed with that we were all working with what information we had.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that any of us knew how to navigate somebody who was not socially adept.
Okay.
And what I mean
Yep.
by that was that, you know, Kyle functioned at a different level.
Yeah.
Like he
He was intense.
yeah, he lived on his own from when he was really young.
Did he really?
Yep. He made his way in life, like with engineering. He was definitely like his brain definitely functioned at a different level.
Yeah.
And I just like I don't want to put it on him, but I would say, you know, just like, you know, in the last 25 years, what have we learned about people on the spectrum? Like, what do we know? We know
Sure.
so much more than we did 25 years ago.
Sure. And I think like culturally we're way more like it's way more accepting to everyone.
Absolutely.
We're just like, oh, this is how you're different. Cool.
Yep. And it's, I think that we're way more inclusive and we are way more ready to harness people's strengths and to really like see them flourish.
Yeah.
And I think that was a piece of what Kyle liked in the band. Like he was able to create, but he wasn't able to communicate it. And we weren't able to hear it.
Sure.
And so then,
Gosh dang it, dude. I
Yeah.
love you so much, man.
it's just kind of like this, you know?
I love how you truly have this pastor's heart where you just are like you don't get rattled by these things. You're just like, this is how Kyle functioned. And we didn't do very good with that.
Yeah.
You know, like instead of being hurt by how he treated you guys or how he was or making fun of it, you don't do that at all.
I mean, I think we all have behaviors that are worthy of being made fun of. I don't think that where Kyle struggled to make connection in the band.
Yeah.
Those are not behaviors to be made fun of.
No.
Yeah. If that makes sense.
I always saw he was super cool. He was just intense.
Very
like,
intense.
Very intense. You know, like he played hockey on a skateboard.
Yeah.
Because he was just like, I'm not doing it like these other guys
Yeah.
are.
Like I would be curious of what, like where he would test or where he would show up like on the Enneagram. Because there was definitely this need to be unique,
Yeah.
to be seen as unique. Like,
Yeah.
even like if you look back at like our publicity photos,
He was nothing like the rest of you guys.
like, well, yeah, like I remember we all got clothing stipends from Squint to go out and to get like, you know, outfits for photo shoots and all this kind of stuff. And so we had this theme at that point, like for the photo shoot for Skylarluia, we knew we for sure were going to do our Adidas outfits and that was going to be a part of that. But that was like one shoot. Like we did, I think we did 5 or 6 like settings and outfit changes and all this stuff. And I remember when we were heading to it, like everybody had like their garment bags, you know, and like some people had bought like new shoes and some people had bought, you know, multiple outfits. And I remember Kyle had a backpack. And in his backpack was his Adidas jumpsuit because that was required. Like we're
Yeah.
all going to do that photo shoot at least. But beyond that, you have creative expression. And so like I'm out buying, Fluvog shoes and like I've got a certain aesthetic that I'm going for. Kyle decided that he was going to take a gray t-shirt that he already owned and sew a Red Wings logo on the front of it. Like,
Okay.
but we didn't understand it.
Yeah.
But for him, it was like super meaningful.
Okay.
And so like part of it was like he was representing Detroit.
Yeah.
Part of it was that the Red Wings were so important to him. And part of it was that it was his creative self-expression. And like I can remember people like in that photo shoot being so angry with Kyle.
He's ruined it for everybody.
He's ruining this photo shoot.
Yeah.
And we're all dressed up. We're all, to the nines. And he's literally standing there in a gray t-shirt with like a fabric Red Wings logo that he had sewn on it. And we had no framework for that. Like we didn't know how to honor Kyle and be like, dude, you made that, or to be like, that's so cool. You should wear that for some of them. And also, like it was just kind of like given to like, you're disrespecting this photo shoot. You don't care about this. And I think that like, because we didn't know how to communicate about it, we would end up in like combat.
Yeah.
And I remember we were playing the Pterodactyl. You ever play there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Outside of Marietta, Georgia.
Yep.
Yes, sir.
I remember we were playing the Pterodactyl. There was some type of altercation that took place prior to sound check. And then
Between band members?
Yeah. I think it was between Kyle and myself.
What do you mean? You kind of remember. You remember this.
And I remember Kyle didn't show up for sound check.
Like a verbal altercation or physical?
It was verbal. It was loud. I felt disrespected. I don't know that it was intentional, but it was like, we got to go. It's time to go type of thing.
Yeah.
And then, he didn't show up for sound check. And I remember like, that was the first time that I was like, oh, like this isn't working.
Yeah.
Like it was definitely the moment where I was like, this has gone like too far. Where now like we're not functioning as like a unit. We had altercations before, like if we would play like pickup basketball games.
Yeah.
On tour.
Yeah.
People would get like real aggressive. And
No fist fights.
Yeah, and like pushing and like verbal type of stuff. And so, and I'm not one for like anything competitive. That's been either a defense mechanism or learning from my past. But I know that I have a temper. And so like even like if I work out at the gym, I will do something that's collaborative. Like if we're rowing and I'm competing with myself, I'm fine with that. Like if I'm going for a new PR or to beat my last, like I'm fine with that. If it's competitive against someone else, I don't want to participate.
Because it makes you aggressive.
Yeah.
You get angry.
Yeah. And,
that's good.
And I
think
that there is a part of that would show up in some of our band dynamics.
Yeah.
And like, if we're being, really honest, I didn't have the skill set to honor Kyle or to handle Kyle.
Yeah.
And so it was usually he and I that were going back and forth.
Yeah.
Like even for Joe to like when Joe says, you know, he would be like, oh, everyone else cares about this more, so I'm going to step out or whatever. Like I didn't have the freedom to do that.
Because you were the adult. You were like the adult for your whole band.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which was why it was so
tough.
important to have like Tim Tabor and
Yeah.
of course, because I was like, you know, I was so young, but they all trusted me, which is crazy. I had never done it before. I had never taken a band on tour before. Like I never went to California, you know, like and recorded albums. Like, but it was like, well, we're doing it, so let's do it. But I didn't have previous experience with that.
Yeah, but you have like this overwhelming sense of like just calm about you, and like you know what's going on. Like you're if you gave directions on the Titanic, everybody would listen to you. You know, like for like, hey, we're sinking. We're all gonna go up to the stern, and then hopefully it'll tip back up. You're gonna do that? You guys mind? Everybody go along with it, you know.
But yeah, I think that there's probably departures of like because we had way more like iterations than like you guys had. Like we would have, we would have different horn players coming, and like it was always like I was looking for the right people with the right personality and like skill set in order to make it so I didn't have to manage it so much.
Right.
And like Johnny saved our band. Like most people know, like everybody who toured knew Johnny, but like Johnny was a godsend. Like we were in serious like financial, like what do? We have to make big decisions and we don't know how to do this.
Yeah.
And Johnny was like a bank like manager.
Was he really?
Yeah. And I still don't know like why he said yes. But I was at like this camp with him and I was like, Johnny, you should come be the road manager for Insiders. And he's like, what would it be? And I was like you got to run everything.
Give up all your hopes and dreams and then come crap in a potato chip bag with us.
And I don't like, honestly, I don't know anyone more loyal than Johnny.
He was so cool.
Mm-hmm.
Like for real, like he got you guys and he was just like the calmest dude. You could look at him and be like, yeah, that guy's the manager.
Yeah. Yeah. He was like such a gift.
He was just even keeled, did not get shaken by all that crap. And then
get shaken in front of me.
Okay.
He would say for me.
He would swear
911
swear a little bit.
Pager beeps.
Yeah, he was. I really want to get him on the podcast. I really
You should.
This is what I've wanted for about a year or two, is just to have a podcast with you, Nate, where we talk about spiritual things. Not because I think Joe, he just like, he doesn't want to talk about like really deep stuff. And I'm sure nobody would listen to this podcast, but like, let's talk about politics. Let's talk about the spirituality of like what's going on in the world. And
yeah,
one thing I need to tell you though, and I've talked about on the podcast, was like, I hit this point like 10, 15 years ago, and I was like, maybe not 15, 10, 12, where I was like just done with like how the church treated the issue of homosexuality. Mm-hmm. And I posted on Facebook, I was like, hey, everybody, just to let you know, like, because that's what Facebook is for, is like making great, show everybody you need attention or whatever. But I was like, I really feel convicted about how I've been about homosexuality. And like at that point, I had gone from like being homophobic as like a junior high schooler and high schooler, and then like being like homophobia is a sin, but so is being gay. And, you know, like wrote a 5-hour song about it. Like, this is against homophobia, but like, I'm going to slide this line in because I don't want us to get kicked out of the church. And it's just saying like, it's still sin, but like, we got to love the sinner, hate the sin. And I was there, and now I hit that point and I was just like, I don't think it's my place to even talk about this. Like, I don't feel like I can even say anything about it. If it is a sin, it's not mine, and I'm done. Like, I just don't feel like this is within the character of Christ to be so focused on this and to be so judgmental. And I think like we as a church, or anybody who is listening to me, can just step back. And you reached out and were like, here's an article I read about homosexuality in the Bible and just how it's been twisted by the church to become like this lightning rod. And it's not really supposed to be that. It's not like in the Bible, there's like these 6 verses. Do you remember this?
No.
Oh, dude. Yeah, I mean, like, it was like,
I like it though. I like hearing the story.
no, man, it like changed my life because I felt guilty at this point, because I felt like my views on homosexuality were counter to the character of Christ.
Yeah.
That I was like still focused on like, I got to tell people this is a sin still. I have to do this. And you sent me this article, and it was like, at that point, I was like, I want to believe it's not a sin, but I think everybody that does just throws out the rest of scripture. Like, they're just like taking parts that make them feel good, which I think like most Christians do anyway. Like, but I was not into that. So, the article was just, the gist of it was like, most of these verses are from Levitical law or Mosaic law, which was paid for by Christ. And then there's 6 verses in the New Testament, and they're translated poorly. So at the very least, you have to be like, I don't know if homosexuality is a sin. But really, if you read into it, it's probably not about that. So let's stop. And I just, like, it flipped like everything in me. I was just like, this is it. This is the thing I needed to be like, for me, you know, like everybody talks about deconstructionism, and, you know, like, I think any Christian is constantly like, you'll hit some point several times in your faith where it just falls apart and you have to build it up. So like calling it deconstructionism isn't fair, because it's just being a Christian.
Right. It's the journey.
You're going to be like, I love Jesus. And then your grandma dies and you're like, that hurts so bad. I don't know if Jesus loves me anymore. And then your parents die, you know, like, you'll build it back up, and then you have to come at it with a new paradigm. So for me, that was a huge paradigm shift, because I felt like at that point, my faith was about that, like being good. What are you doing to be good? This is a thing that's bad. And it slowly shifted to like, this is not how Jesus was, you know, like, the only people he yelled at were the Pharisees for pretending to be good. Right. You know, like the Samaritan woman in John 4, that is like, she, you know, like, he asks her for some water. He says, I can give you living water so you'll never thirst again. Not like, you're bad, repent. He just tells her he knows her. Like, you're not satisfied. You're on your 6th husband or your 6th boyfriend after the 6th husband. You know, like, he's like, whatever you're missing, I'm that. That's the gospel. And to me, it, like that really, I really owe you for that.
I would say that I'm thankful to have been able to be present and a part of your life in that, and to be able to have the conversation. I think that there's a quote, and I can't remember who it was, but he said that there's versions of God that need to die for all of us. And I think that that's actually Christianity. Like, I think that you start with a version of God, and essentially from that point on, all we're experiencing is the death of God in every version that we go to next. Right?
Yeah.
Like the idea of you make all things come together for our good. Really? Like, is that a true statement? And like, for those of us who like embrace that and like, sang it at the top of our lungs, like, what do we do when like our foster child is returned to like a neglectful situation?
Yeah.
Like, really? Like, has that been proven? Like, in my story, if I was sitting down today to like write, here's the attributes of God in my human and lived experience, would I write down, you make all things work together for my good? Or would I write down, you are present in my suffering? Right? Or would I write down, you are a witness to the pain and the grief that we call life? Like,
Yeah.
I feel like there's these like, there's freedom and there's allowance and like permission for us to be able to look back and go, oh, I held this belief then, and for some reason I needed to.
Sure.
Like, there's some version of Reese that needed to hold the position of like order and I would say like dualistic thinking, where it's like, you're either in or you're out. You're either this or you're that. And like, it probably created order. It probably helped you feel connected to your tribe.
Helped you
talk
to people from stage.
Yeah.
Or sing praise songs from stage.
Yeah.
Which hopefully did good.
Yeah. And so then it's like, but at some point you don't need that anymore. Like, it's not helpful. It's not serving you anymore.
Yeah.
And I think that that's where a lot of people get into their ideas around deconstruction, which is like they're moving from order to disorder. And then if we follow it through in their stories, they actually move to reorder.
Sure.
And that's where I think it's interesting for us to be like, if that is the Christian journey, or like if that is the journey to being like Christ, then even in our reorder, we're just waiting for the next phase of disorder. and then rework. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think we ever get to a spot where we're like, oh, and now all of my theology is right.
I think you maybe get to a spot where you're like, definitely you get to spots where you're like, okay, God, I can't take anymore.
Yeah.
And then sometimes you get that. Like, he really does not give you any more than you can handle.
Yeah.
But like, you definitely get to a point where you're like, I'm tapping out. Like, this is uncle. Like, I can't do it anymore. But like, that just keeps coming.
Mm.
Like, it is like this roller coaster of like, you're like, okay, I got this. And then you're going to drop off the next drop off. But I think the more you do that, the more faith you have, because you're like, okay, remember that one?
Mm-hmm.
That I got it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I know
We
that.
made it.
Sure.
Yeah, we made it through that.
But I think like your vision of God keeps, it's not that he isn't good or isn't powerful. It's that like like when you're younger, you think that his mission is like to alleviate all the suffering that you're going through or other people. And then when you see that, it's hard to put God in that. But like individually, you can always be like, I did that. And then there was some point where no one else was around. Like I was by myself and I felt very lonely and then left, like God had left me and everyone had left me. But he was there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like for me, I feel like it's cyclical. Like I've hit that point a lot, but like the biggest point in my life was like last year, you know, but both my parents died. My wife left me,
Mm-hmm.
and a week later my mom died, and then my dad died 4 months later. And not just that, but there was all this other stuff that just kept, and like to me, that the old me would be like, that's enough, God. I'm uncling. I'm like, I can't keep faith in you that you're good and this is still happening to me. But I still kept talking to him, you know, and just all this minuscule piddly shit kept going on, you know, like lawnmower breaking down. I had to move into this house because my mom had picked it before she died. And so I'm like fixing up this house. And I just remember I hit this point, and like so many points where I just like gotten angry and lost my temper at God. And I dropped a drill. I was putting in these shelves and the drill just fell. Like it just fell for no reason. It was on a flat surface. It was there for like 30 seconds and then it just fell. And I just remember just swearing at him, you know, like, and just being like, God, isn't this your thing? This is you. You're a carpenter. Like, can you not just cut me some slack? And I swear I heard a voice in my head just say, you do not have the patience to be a carpenter. Which is like the most fatherly thing I may have ever heard. Like either, hey buddy, this isn't your thing. Or the second thing is like, hey man, if you want this, you got to be more patient.
Yeah.
And I just broke. I was like, I can't get around this. Like, no matter how angry I got at God or how much I swore at him, he wasn't going to leave. He was still going to be there, just waiting for me to stop throwing a temper tantrum.
Mm-hmm.
But like, when you speak to people, when people have hurt, Like there's that now, like you're like, in the old days, you'd be like, just pray about it and God's going to make it better. Right. Let's pray together. And like, I don't even know if God listens to me when I pray. I think he's listening, but he doesn't answer them. So let's just hug.
And sometimes that's just appropriate.
Yeah.
It's being present.
But I mean, like that it's good. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, like you can't get to that point without just hurting so much.
I definitely come to the spot where I embrace this statement that the opposite of faith is not doubt. The opposite of faith is certainty.
Yeah. Okay.
And so if you want, to have a podcast to talk about certainty, I'm not interested.
Yeah.
Because there's no mystery and there's nothing beautiful in that. And so for me, faith is the opposite of certainty. And I think once we can start to understand that and consent to it, I think that's like when things start to change. For me, coming out of a very strict religious upbringing that was based on certainty.
Yeah.
These are the doctrines we believe because they're right. This is the theology that we hold because it's the correct one. And that's not a very beautiful conversation.
No.
And I don't think that it sounds like good news. And so I think part of growing into, I guess I would say like having a Christ consciousness is being able to have and honor people who are in spaces of uncertainty. That to me, that's the best. It's like, so tell me more about that. What do you think about that? What are you learning in that? Like that's more fun. I'm not interested in conversations about certainty. I'm not interested in having conversations about how people have come to their pro-life view or to their pro-choice view. Like that to me isn't engaging, but mystery, like that's fun. That's where I feel like God is present in the conversation, because we're being curious about what we don't know.
Right.
And that's not doubt. And so for me, it's been a long journey. I mean, even just for insiders, man, we were zealous assholes. And we did a ton of really, really offensive things in the name of Jesus. Yeah. We were Midwesterners, and we had extremely conservative and strict religious backgrounds that when we hit the road, especially like heading into the West, like on the West Coast, like we didn't know Christians that swore.
Right.
We didn't know Christians that smoked. Like, honestly, in the church that we were in, those were actually identifiers for people who were not Christians.
Right.
Like, to the point of like our Christian background would have said that dancing was questionable. And here we are playing in a ska band. And like, that was crazy. But like, Bo would always say that we were like barbarians, like wielding, he would be like, we were barbarians wielding a club that we called the gospel. Yeah. We would just hit anybody with it.
However, I do think your motive was love.
Yeah.
And you're doing the best you could.
Yeah, with what we had.
you had.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
No, I can hold all of that. But
Yeah.
it's when you go back and you're thinking and you're like, oh, wow. Yeah. No, yeah. Good hearts. Very zealous. I think that the Crusades, they probably had the best of intentions, right?
Yeah.
Not a good outcome.
You guys were far less just violent than the Crusades. You did.
But like, I mean, even like in the green room, like I remember us being there and there were tons of like pinup girl pictures everywhere. Like the floor, there was a pool room, and where the pool table was, the floor was these different tiles and there were pinup.
This is the recording.
Yeah, the recording studio for
the studio, the green room. Okay, not a green room in a club.
No, where everything was. I mean, so much like Christian music history was recorded.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it had, so the whole vibe of the lounge was like a tiki bar. And then there was the pool room where there was a pool table. And I remember us going around and putting duct tape.
Oh no.
Over the breasts of drawn pinup girls that were in the floor tiles. Like we were zealous,
very zealous.
We were zealous. And I remember Gene coming out and being like, what's going on here? Like, this is like his 1950s, like pinup tiki bar. And we're like, duct tape over stuff. Good intentions, but definitely coming from a different space.
Yeah.
Little Midwesterners.
I'm just like, I'm always worried, like, am I doing cringy stuff like that now?
Probably.
Because we definitely did. Yeah, probably.
Probably. And hopefully people also are interacting with our sincerity.
Yeah.
And the beautiful part of it is God has proven over time to call people by name. Like regardless of, horrible history of the church, regardless of, Midwesterners going out and putting tape, like regardless of all of that stuff, God continues to call people by name and they find their hope and meaning and, like that's God's work. That's not ours anyway.
Correct.
Like, you know what I mean? It never was. Like that's the part where I'm like, I'm so disinterested in like the LGBTQ conversation. Because it's just become so old.
With the church or like with LGBTQ?
No.
Yeah, I mean, same.
Sure.
I don't even go to church anymore, Nate.
And it's like, who are we to say what God should be working on for someone else?
Yeah.
And I think functionally, the church does not believe in the Holy Spirit.
Yeah. I think just the organization of the church, the way that it is.
Yep.
At any iteration.
I mean, and that's not even getting into
maybe some Quaker services started out that way. Like we're just going to sit here and let the Holy Spirit work. But I think after a while, you're just like, well, that guy's better at talking than I am, so let him go.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And I think what we also then see is that since we don't really believe in the Holy Spirit, now we have to legislate morality.
Yeah.
Because we don't actually believe that the Spirit of God could change anybody's heart.
I think that, and we're afraid of it. You know, like, what if God doesn't do what we want?
Right. And what if God's not interested in changing LGBTQ people's hearts? What if God is like, well, let's talk about greed and let's talk about, like, this is the thing for me where it's like, I just want people to have access to God, and I would like to not be a barrier.
Yeah. I don't think you are, dude.
No, I'm trying. I appreciate your story. I know that I have been intentional about trying to connect with you at different times when I've felt the weight of something that you've put out. I don't remember that specific thing, but I'm so glad that we have that shared like history.
Yeah, man.
It's like it's super encouraging for me just to hear it. So thank you for saying it and actually taking the time to talk to me about it. That's a huge like blessing to me.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
I'm so glad I could talk to you about it.
It's super cool.
I guess I'm the person of this podcast, and I'm supposed to say we're gonna wind it down.
All right.
But you should think about doing a podcast with me, even if we just do it once a month and we just
let me know. I love talking to you.
Talk about spiritual things. It's like for Joe and I, the best part is just we kind of hang out.
Yeah.
Like we have these podcast personas where we're like, we got to move it along. We got 30 minutes, but it's mostly just hanging out with Joe.
And
it's rad
because you have the pattern to be together.
Yeah. Sometimes it's a chore.
Sure.
But I'm thankful for it.
Yeah. I'm glad you guys are doing it.
Super thankful for this, man.
Yeah. Well, thanks for inviting me on, and absolutely just reach out. Let me know.
For sure.
Yeah, I would love to be on again. I think Joe thought that I was going to have like a list of things to talk about.
Oh yeah.
But I didn't. I didn't come prepared.
Oh, everything I had to talk to you about was funny. And then this is not the conversation. So I'm like, all right, don't talk about Sjogren syndrome.
Legit. That's legit. Well, reach out
Right,
again. Invite me again. It was a joy. I was looking forward to it. So,
all right, we'll talk. I love you, man.
Love you too.
So good seeing you.
Yeah.
All right.
Peace.
See you later.
Peace.
Peace.